In 1983, the U.S. Army Operational Group at Fort Meade assessed a consciousness training program called the Gateway Experience. Declassified records show the military wasn't looking for mysticism. They were documenting a clinical, repeatable sequence to achieve what they called a body-asleep, mind-awake state, a specific method of layering physical relaxation, focused attention, and sound. Today, you'll find similar language scattered across modern sound baths and manifestation workshops. But without that clinical framework, sitting in a room full of echoing bowls is often dismissed as passive, supernatural wishful thinking, which raises a practical question. Can sitting in a room full of acoustic vibrations actually rewire your brain to build a new reality? To find the truth, we have to strip away the wellness buzzwords and bridge the military's structural science with the live physical experience of a modern sound meditation. Viewed through this clinical lens, manifestation is a biological process of nervous system regulation that sets the physiological stage for real-world action. The original Gateway method relied on audio patterns delivered directly to each ear through isolated headphones. A live sound bath operates on a similar logic, but uses physical acoustic space instead of hardware. Facilitators use gongs, crystal bowls, and steady drones to trigger the frequency-following response. This occurs when the human nervous system naturally synchronizes with a rhythmic external stimulus. This chart illustrates the brain's starting point, beta waves. These erratic spikes represent waking consciousness and stress. But when a predictable acoustic rhythm is introduced, sound acts as a sonic floor, pulling scattered spikes into elongated, synchronized theta waves, the range of deep meditation. In this slower theta state, the ordinary background noise of the mind drops away. Without a dozen competing thoughts, holding your attention on a single idea becomes highly efficient. Acoustic frequencies provide a structural scaffold for consciousness, engineering the focus state required for sustained intention. Because the theta state reduces mental competition, the most efficient use of this focus is narrowing the mind to one single clear intention. Visualization is most effective when it moves past outcome-only fantasies and shifts into process-based manifestation. This involves simulating the specific movements and choices of the person who actually performs the work. Inside the sound bath, you begin physically. You imagine straightening the spine, adjusting your breath, and feeling the literal physical weight of your future self. You build out the mental simulation. You visualize the specific environment and the precise emotional reality, the confidence, the discipline, or the peace. At this precise moment, facilitators use the layered harmonics of crystal bowls. These sustained, spacious tones act as a carrier wave, locking that vivid emotional imagery firmly into your receptive nervous system. Then comes the release phase. As you hold that future image, the facilitator introduces the deep physical rumble of a large bronze gong, guiding you to mentally let go of one specific fear or limiting belief, just as the volume swells to its peak. That intense acoustic peak physically rattles the body, allowing your old mental identity to loosen. It creates a psychological void, giving your new, focused intention the space to take root. After the peak resonance, the session drops into total silence. This phase is entirely passive, giving the nervous system time to process and integrate the intense sensory input. This silence is where the actual clarity arrives. You aren't hit with a magical, prophetic vision of the future. Instead, you find an immediate, grounded recognition of your next right step. Psychological research on mental simulation shows that imagining a future state is highly effective for planning, but it is effectively useless unless it is directly paired with behavioral follow-through. The timeline moves from the internal environment of the sound bath into a 24-hour window, terminating at a single concrete action. Executing that behavior branches out into new pathways, converting the internal simulation into an external reality-building process. The gateway sequence and the sound bath work in tandem to establish a regulated biological state, a focused foundation for building a reality through action.